Yeah. All right. Peace. Hey, what's going on? Hey, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you're watching this, like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Most importantly, um, leave a comment down below for me. Let me know what you think about this video. I want to know your opinion. The main reason why I'm even doing this is for y'all. So, to make a long story short, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I run into a lot of I run into a lot of people, and we always have I tend to get into deep conversations with people. That's just how I talk a lot. That's how I am. But for the most part, man, I do like getting into conversations, whether it's about philosophy, politics, man, just life, whatever it is, chopping it up. So my thing is this. Main reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of times I always find myself in the same line of questioning or the line of discussion in regards to what is right and what is wrong. You know what I mean? Sometimes, for example, we've been talking a lot in regards to anybody that I've talked to for the most part who knows me. Obviously everybody been talking about damn Trump, weird ass. Everybody been talking about him. But in regards to kind of how he conducts himself and his intent, a lot of times people ask me, well, what, of course, besides what we think and what we want done, right? Is it right or wrong how he goes about things, right? Is it right to to create an energy of seclusion and segregation in regards to the wall in Mexico and deporting all these illegal, or not even illegal but documented immigrants now through the DACA program. So it's like, and then the anti-Muslim rhetoric he's got, the anti-African American rhetoric he's got, really the anti-everything he's got, except for people who look like him and who are related to him. Really, so people, I ask myself, and sometimes when I get in discussions, people ask me, what do you think at the end of the day? Like, is it right? Is it wrong? And so, and how do you justify that, right? So my thing is this: we all have our religions and our faiths and our kind of roots and belief, right? We all have our systems of belief, but at the end of the day, what I see and what is very unfortunate is the fact that none of us base these systems of belief uh, on the same type of platform, right? We don't all look at things the same way in regards to what's right and wrong, which is very important just because we all live together. So what you think is right and wrong, I'd like to assume you are now on the same page just because our kids are going to be playing with each other. We're going to be out here in public. You see what I'm saying? So um, for us to not have the same barometer of truth is dangerous. And obviously you can see how dangerous it is. We get to the point where not only in society there's levels of people, but now those levels of people are crushing the other levels because they can't do nothing about it. And why? It's because they deem themselves justified and right in whatever they're doing. Hence, people like Trump, who the way when they talk so reckless and when they talk so negatively about a whole group of people, that's when they feel justified. And then anybody else who thinks like him, who has the type of hatred in their heart, and they think it's right to be that hateful or right to be that, segregative, then that energy just manifests itself. So, you know, the reason why I'm doing this is because at the end of the day, what I want to express and what I want everybody to know is that we have to have the same perception of what is right and what is wrong so we can treat each other accordingly. You see what I'm saying? You see, people like Trump, they can find themselves, they can justify their means because not only do they know nothing of the people that they are affecting, it's easier if you don't know anything about them, right? If you don't know anything about them, then how could you, speak any different of those people, right? All you know is what you've picked up throughout your experiences and what you've been told and things like that. So my point is that if we all had this same reference of what is right and wrong, I'd like to assume things wouldn't be as chaotic as they are. And so when people ask me that and they say, man, okay, so what is your moral compass, right? Like, what do you base your moral compass on? And what it is for me and what it is for a lot of people, to a certain extent, but they don't really push it as far as they need to, including myself, is nature. Nature itself is probably the most consistent way of looking at any aspect of living, right? If you if you understand the just the basics of nature, then I think you're gonna understand what my point is here. The basics of nature is one serving the other, right? Because when one is serving the other, it creates an ecosystem, right? When the sun shoots out photons, it's it's soaked in by the plants. It's soaked in by us, which is turned into biophotons, which this is all information, right? Uh, Photosynthesis, right? All these things are working forces and acts which make the world go round, right? So my point is this: if we see how nature works with each other, with itself, when we see how nature works with itself, why would we not assume that if we work with each other, as opposed to separating each other and hating on each other, um, that's gonna actually that'll be the solution. That's what I don't understand. So, what have you, man? Muslims, Mexicans, whatever it is, whether you like them or not, at the end of the day, they're on this earth with you, right? That's it. At the end of the day, they're here with you. So it's either you work with them or we do what we're doing now. Which is it working? Is it any better? Didn't think so. Didn't think so. So my point is this: the thing about nature is that everything that happens in nature reflects on nature, right? And most importantly, it reflects on us because we are part of nature. So my point is that any type of, I mean, a certain type of bee, if it's not pollinating right, we feel that effect. I mean, it's that serious. And so my point is that for us to understand that what and how we treat each other, um, for us to not assume that it's not going to reflect on us ultimately and nature itself blows my mind. Um, in regards to nature environmentally, how we pull from the earth, profit off of it, and don't put nothing back, for us to assume that that is not going to reflect back on us and nature, hence earthquakes in Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's like I said, it blows my mind how ignorant we are to that fact. But for the most part, I like to think that most people aren't ignorant to it. It's just because they're making money while they're doing it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you shut down raping the earth for its mineral sources, for its mineral resources, then people don't get paid, right? They don't get their money to go buy whatever the hell they want. And so fuck that, right? Fuck the earth. We try and get this money. That's basically how we all look at it, right? That's how most people look at it. So it's one of them things. Now we are feeling the effects. Hence these damn earthquakes all over Oklahoma. Where I don't think shit. I done lived here a long time, and I just started feeling earthquakes about 2, 3, year or two ago. Just started feeling these damn earthquakes, and it's not just out of nowhere. It's because nature is reacting to how it's being treated, right? But one thing's for sure is that one thing one thing we do know is that it will react and there will be a consequence. I don't know if it's a good or bad one. Yes, these are little earthquakes. They could get worse. They couldn't. But at the end of the day, my point is that nature, anything that is done in nature to nature will reflect on nature and to whatever is, is encroaching straight up. And so for us not understand that fact as us being human beings within nature, I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. And it's obvious that these, the ones that we call the decision makers, they don't either. And if they do get it, then they are blatantly disregarding it, which is even worse. So either way, you did wrong, you know? Now, my thing is this. With people like Trump, who, and obviously he's not the only one, he's just the biggest example right now. But, for people who don't want to even listen or consider things like climate change. You know what I mean? Like for people not to try to be aware of things that they are ignorant to. Though I don't need it. I don't want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and if you're watching this, you can keep watching, but I mean, it's like, to me, it's like I wouldn't give a shit if you were watching or not. And my point, the reason why I'm saying that is because y'all are not the ones that are going to change this world. Y'all are the ones that are going to be causing the confusion, and they're going to maintain the confusion, right? People like Trump, they don't want solutions. They want to maintain confusion. They want conflict. They want arguments. That's what they want. I don't think I ever hear that man ever say anything positive or nice about someone else, who is in his opposition, right? The only people that he'll say anything nice about are people that are kind of on his side for that moment. But for the most part, like I said, that type of energy, it's impossible to talk to him. So that's why I'm just doing this. I'm putting this video out for people who understand or are willing to listen. Sit down, lend me your ear, and by the end of the video, if you understand what I'm saying, you understand. If you don't, you don't. It's that simple. But one thing's for sure is that I'm not gonna waste time with evil, right? I'm not going to. I can't find common ground with lunacy. You can't find common ground with maliciousness, right? You can't find common ground with people who just want to argue and just they want to find something wrong in everything you say. So that this ain't for you. So take your ass back to the hole that you come from, because this ain't for you. So now, back to what I was saying. I digress. Now, what I want to do is, in regards to nature, I want to expand on this. I'm going to come out with 12 different videos, and these videos are going to consist of the 12 universal laws of nature, right? And these 12 universal laws of nature are what every day are abided by. And if not, like I said, there's consequence, right? So what right now, for example, and it's like I don't want to give too much, but I will touch on one of the laws, and one of those laws is the law of oneness, right? The law of oneness, which how everything is interconnected, and we all need to be how everything's interconnected and essentially works with each other to create an ecosystem, an environment, right? And so, before I go any further, let's just talk about the word nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot to even mention that. The word nature. So nature is derived from the word natura, which is Latin, right? And that means birth. Okay? So literally, it's telling you that nature it's a giving. It's a producing element. That's what it is. It's something that is constantly giving, right? With not asking for compensation. That sun shines every day, and everything lives, and no one and nothing comes out of that sun handing you a tab, handing you an invoice, nothing. Yet you're alive, right? But at the end of the day, we're being charged for electricity. We're being charged for water. We're being charged for everything to keep us alive down here. But the main thing that's keeping all the shit running is not charging us. So that's my point, is that nature, the perfect example of selflessness, the perfect example of giving without expecting in no return. That is nature. And it starts with the sun. It starts with the sun. Without that, we ain't shit. Nothing lives. Nothing lives. And the beautiful thing too about nature, at least for me, is that I know that I'm favored by nature because the sun, because the sun protects me, right? What it does is has given me melanin, you know what I'm saying, to protect me. And what it does is I soak in more energy. So any vitamin D or anything that's shooting out there, any type of biophoton, whatever it is, I'm getting it by the plethora. Why? Because of this melanin, which is AKA condensed sunlight, right? I'm gonna dig into that even more, and I'm gonna come out with the pineal gland, the pineal gland. I'm sorry, I'm gonna come with the pineal gland video pretty soon, which is the essence of melanin, and I'm gonna break that down. So anyway, my point is that the law of oneness is one of the laws that's being violated right now. One of the many laws that are being violated in regards to natural law, and why we see ourselves in the predicaments that we are in now, hence politically, socially. And so if we understood that we are one in this, we would not be talking about kicking out over 20 million documented immigrants who voluntarily came forward to cooperate, to be part of this machine. And so now the machine want to kick him out because uh, the guy who's running it don't like it, or at least the ones who put the guy who's running it on top don't like it, because at the end of the day, this ain't all Trump. I mean, let's call it what it is. This ain't all Trump. It takes a team to be this effective. It takes money. It takes an entity, a group. You know what I'm saying? Trump to be honest, Trump is at the bottom of the totem pole. He is. Trump is not even considered one of the most wealthiest people on this earth, let alone in America. Yeah, he got $1 billion or $2 billion. $1 billion ain't shit nowadays. That ain't shit. There's over 1,800 billionaires. That ain't shit. So my point being is this. That if these laws were understood and talked about more often, I honestly think that we would be in a better place. And if we all used these laws as our moral compass, as our barometer of truth, right, as our kind of our way, I really think that things would be a lot more smooth, right? And this is the thing. The reason why we all have to have the same platform of justifying and understanding what right and wrong is. The reason why we all have to refer to the same thing is because everybody got a God. Everybody has a God. Everybody has their own God, which tells them what to do, right? So my thing is this, is that whatever your God wants you to do, go do that. But when you come outside and start being around us, that's when we all got to abide by the same. That's my point. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't worship your God outside. I'm just saying that nature comes before your God. Whatever God you worship, whatever Buddha, Allah, Jesus, John Smith, the crow that outside, the chicken the chicken, I don't care, a cow, whatever it is, that shit come after nature, because nature is what actually even made that shit even possible. Okay, and I'm gonna break that down for you. The first depictions of any gods, the first personifications of any gods on this earth were depictions of nature and the acts of nature. The first gods that ever were personified on this earth were depictions of nature and the acts of nature. That's what they were, right? Now, if you don't believe me, let's take it back. For example, and the reason why I'm not going to go too deep into this, but we'll go back to ancient Egypt, which was before, quote unquote, the Holy Bible being written out and so on and so forth, right? All right. So before any organized religions, or for that matter, at least modern for that matter, ancient Egypt, the sun god is who? Ra. He's the god of the sun, right? And now he had a son, and his name was what? His name was Horus, right? Horus, Osiris's brother Set wanted to kill Horus, right? Because Horus was pieces of his brother Osiris, Set's brother Osiris. So Horus was was the son of the sun god Ra, in essence, right? Now Set, right? Set, which becomes Satan, which becomes the darkness, wanted to kill Horus, which was the sun. Now, that is the depiction of the battle of day and night. Now, how is that? Okay. The word sunset, when the sun set is when Set begins his reign and he defeats his brother Horus. When the sun rises is when Horus rises again and defeats his brother Set. Now, the word hours, right, comes from aura. Aura is from Greek terminology, which means time or period. Horus, the sun god, or Horus, the sun god of the day and night. Hours, Hours, kind of similar, isn't it? Yeah, that's why. It's because even back then they understood hora, the word time or period, it was connected and correlated to Horus, which was the battle of the night and day. Horus being the day, Set being night. You see what I'm saying? This is nature at its best. Now, there's another one I'm gonna drop on you, which is tied to nature before all the stories came. The winter solstice, right? When Jesus was born, that is all a depiction of astrology and is a sequence of astrological events. That's all that it is, right? Okay, we'll break that down. Um, he was born, right, in Bethlehem, okay? If you know what Bethlehem, the translation for Bethlehem in Hebrew is house of bread, right? And what else was known as the house of bread back in the day and still is now is the astrological constellation Virgo, which is Virgo, the Virgin Mary. That was the constellation Virgo. And it was also called the house of bread, which means Bethlehem. So that actually, Bethlehem was not a place on the ground. It was a place in the stars. It was a place in the stars. And so now the thing is this. I'm going to touch on the birth of Jesus. I'm going to finish that off. Now, Sirius. Sirius is the star that is the brightest, December 24th, right? And along with that is three other stars of the Orion's belt, which to this day is they're still called the Three Kings. And these three stars of the Orion's belt, along with Sirius, align with the dead sun, which is at its lowest point. And it's at its lowest point. It's at its lowest point, and which they say that it looks like it's been dead for 3 days. And so when it comes back up, those three stars in the Orion's belt, along with Sirius, that are all pointing towards the sun, rises back, and it rises up. You see what I'm saying? If you don't believe me, go look these up. I am referring to constellations. Go look these up. Look up Bethlehem, being the translations of House of Bread. Go look up Virgo, being correlated with the Virgin Mary. Go look up the stars of the Orion's belt, the three stars that light up the brightest, along with Sirius, in December 24th. In the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, it's mid-year. Go look this shit up. You ain't got to believe me. Go look it up. But before you go look it up, like, subscribe, do what you got to do. But hey, yeah, I'm chopping them. Yeah, we chopping, man. My thing is this: people got to know what's going on out here. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm not saying don't believe in these books. I'm just saying understand what you're reading before you start condemning everybody else who don't read it. You understand? So, like I said, if you don't believe what I'm saying, please go look that shit up. Go look it up. All right. So yeah, man. So back to it. Back to it. So these things are depictions of nature and the acts of nature. And what we need to understand, for example, too, in the spring equinox and Easter, that's Jesus. That's Jesus dying and rising again, right? Because he's rising again, we have longer days. We got more sun. So the spring equinox was actually a pagan ritual of bringing in the sun, bringing in the sun. That was the first god, was the sun, because they knew how powerful, what it did for us. They understood that. So understand that nature is the bones of all your religions. It's the bones of all existence and consciousness. And so my thing is this: we need to go back to that. At least some of y'all need to go back to that. I mean, I know I got some cleaning up to do, but like I said, man, before I started reading and finding all this out, I'd like to assume I've always felt like this. It's just that what's unfortunate is that society pushes you the other way. Society makes you angry, right? Society makes you bitter. Society makes you impatient. Society makes you intolerant. I can't name how many times when I walk down the street, I'm walking down the street with a smile on my face, and I got people mugging me, just mugging the hell out of me. Don't even know me, mugging the shit out of me. I'm looking at them going, what is wrong? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what could be affecting you so bad where you got to look at me like I'm crazy, like I did something to you? It's just because they're unhappy with themselves. And I used to get a little hot. But now I realize that a lot of times that, these frustrations and a lot of this hatred and the way people perceive, not only has it been indoctrinated in them, but it's been drilled in them throughout. Their kids and their grandparents, everybody. They're force-fed this bullshit. You got to start thinking for yourself. You got to start thinking for yourself. Question me. Go look up every little thing I said. Go look up everything little thing I said. You know, this is bigger than me. It's bigger than me. And I'm going to touch on one more thing before I get out of here that has to do with nature. This is what this is about. Nature, natural. So back in them days, okay, first let's just touch on one thing. I'm going to touch on one thing. The word Christ, Christian, that comes from the word Christo, right? Christo, in Greek, it meant the anointed one. And they used that terminology the pagans and the Roman religions would use the word Christo, which meant anointed one. They would use that terminology when they were relating it to their pagan god, specifically Helios, the sun god, which they stole from Egypt, which was Ra. But that's a whole nother video that I'm gonna come with. But at the end of the day, Helios was their personification of the sun, right? And so Christos was the word they referred to when speaking of Helios, which meant the anointed one. Now, we all know Constantine was the one that organized the Bible, right? We all know that. He's the one that got together that council and they put together the Bible. Now, before the Bible was as organized as we know it, Constantine included, they would pray to, they worshipped Christos Helios. Christos Helios, which in translation means Christ the true Son. That's what that's Greek. Christos Helios. That's who Constantine and them were worshiping. And now this was obviously during the time when the Bible was being organized. Now, Christos Helios, the translation is Christ the true Son, right? Now, Christos, that comes from the word good. Christos comes from the word good in Greek. It comes from the word good in Greek. So my point is this. The phrase Holy Bible became popular during them days when Constantine, because like I said, Constantine was a facilitator. And back in them days, Christos Helios was a phrase, right? And so any type of papyrus or books or biblios, what's what they call them, biblios or papyruses, any type of books, or also the word buka, B-U-K-A. They also used to call a book that were called bukas, because buka was a reed that grew in the banks of the Nile River, and which produced papyruses, right? So the reed was what produced the papyruses, which were papyrus, paper, buka, book, right? So my point is that when the book was assembled in Constantine's times, it was referred to as Christos Helios Biblios, which was the book of Christ, the true Son. I don't know if y'all feel me on this. That's what it was about. Google the shit. Christos Helios. Look it up. Christos Helios. So now my point is this. The name, Constantine and them, they knew what it was. That's why they called it Christ the true Son, Christos Helios. And so once the book was organized and put together, the phrase Helios Biblios, which after a while has been thrown in a washing machine of language, and now we have the Holy Bible. But obviously, if you look back in Latin, holy is sancta, and Bible is it's like, what is it? Just biblio? Yeah, I think it's biblio. Yeah. So my point being is that the Son God, the anointed one, which they called Christo, which was Helios, the Sun God, Christos Helios, was them knowing and saying who exactly what they were giving reverence to. So that's my point in regards to this, kind of my interpretation of the beginning of the holy book, the Bible. You know what I mean? So I will be back with some more videos, and I will let y'all know pretty soon when they're coming out. But please, please. I mean, I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, just to save you the anguish, just to save you the stress, man. To hate another, even just because you don't know them, you wasting your energy. You wasting your energy. And what this is all about is energy. And the quicker we understand that, like I said, I think the quicker we can all be on the same page. So, all right, I'm signing off. I didn't say it enough. Y'all already know I talk a lot. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. It's about nature. Let's get back to nature, man. Let's serve one another so we can be an ecosystem. Yeah? Yeah. Self-sufficient. Get it. Follow me at ZuluBoy405 on Instagram. And if there's a topic that y'all want me to touch on, let me know on that too. But yeah, man, we getting it. We chopping. We coming with that knowledge, man. You know what I'm saying? Get in a book. Get in a book. You feel me? All right.